So myself, just briefly, I've been in the technology industry for around 30 years. I've been a lot of things in the industry, including, project management. I've even done like pre-web UI design, QA system administration. But really my main path has always been, starting as a developer, probably worked in over a dozen different languages and frameworks and stuff like that. Moved into architecture and over time, really technology strategy and now organizational leadership. I've done a little bit of public speaking around the world on architecture and technology strategy and communication and leadership. I'm an O'Reilly online trainer. I've contributed a few pieces to the book, 97 Things Every Engineering Manager Should Know. I'm also part of Acquia's Partnership Advisory Board. And as you mentioned, currently CTO at Bounteous. A little bit about Bounteous. We create big picture digital solutions that help leading companies deliver transformational brand experiences, which is sort of a lofty goal. Basically, we do a lot of work in the digital space, and our expertise includes strategy and experience design, technology, analytics and insight, and marketing. And we recently launched something we call the Co-Innovation Manifesto, which talks a lot about how we kind of engage in digital transformation at scale, some of the innovation principles we use to really focus organizations and the work we do together to create, meaningful results. It's been sort of a guide for us unofficially for a long time. And this year, especially with some of the challenges organizations have been faced with, I think it's been super helpful.
You're on the Acquia partner board. You come from an architectural standpoint, not just a business standpoint from a partner perspective. So we always talk about partner acquisition with vendors. So it doesn't matter who the vendor is. I'm really having that conversation with each one of them, saying they're always saying they're partner first. But for a partner, a service delivery partner, there's a lot more that goes into it in choosing and selecting the vendor that they work with. So I'd like to know, because it takes a lot of effort on your part, how did you get to Acquia?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I agree, partnerships like this, like the one we have with Acquia, they're not trivial undertakings. They definitely require commitment really on both sides, right? But thinking, from my side, to commitment of resources and time to get it done right. We need to get, the technology team to a level of expertise, but we also want to make sure our whole ecosystem, both on an execution side, like our BAs and our quality assurance team and PMs, understand how to deliver, from their perspectives on a platform. But we also really like to embrace a spirit of mutuality with our partners. And so that includes our marketing and BD alignment as well. So business and technology, I think, as you say. I really think Acquia is a great partner in that light. At this point, we've been working with them for about 10 years. Our team, we have obviously over time gotten deeply invested with it. We have more Grandmaster certifications and Drupal developer certifications than any other Acquia partner, I think including the two most decorated non-Acquia Drupalists. Drupal's really is a key part of our digital experience capability, right? So we cover a pretty wide range, but Drupal is pretty core, obviously, from that investment. And so really embracing Acquia, first and foremost, was a couple reasons. One, they really help make Drupal enterprise ready. And so it was kind of a natural fit with our client ecosystem to engage with a partner like that really provides everything that they have to offer from the technology front. But on the partnership front, even early on, it was clear they're just really a great partner to deal with. They're super collaborative. They really like to engage with us, not just as sort of like, well, here's work and go and do it, but we have a lot of conversations together on how can we succeed better, how can we help from our perspective in terms of making their product better, how can we go to market or even execute differently in ways to make sure our client are successful, and sort of front to back, right? That's a great commitment on their part that we find just really rewarding to work with.
Perfect. So one area that I really like that you mentioned is about the customer. When you're dealing with vendors, a lot of time a vendor will be excited if you want to be a partner, because that means to them you're going to bring them deals, right? That's what they're looking for. So let's onboard as many partners as humanly possible. I'm sure you get inundated with vendors all the time. And Their underlying goal is because they hope that you're going to bring them business. But on the other side of that, for people like yourself, you need to look at how that vendor helps you with the customer be really successful. So, what does Acquia do to help you be successful with a customer? And do you see? So, I had my discussion with Peter Ford. Have you discussed with him how he's going to move forward with you as well?
So yeah, I think broadly speaking, and I'll maybe start broadly about just how we work together uh, for clients in general, and then maybe some specific examples where it's really made a difference. This kind of partnership. I think it starts again with they do really embrace sort of a collaborative nature with their partners. It isn't just about bring us leads, bring us leads. Sometimes we're brought in actually, sort of starting there. We're helping them. Um, helping even them get better engaged with clients. A lot of what we bring to the table is really taking that sort of business problem perspective, which is more than just, we need sort of a digital marketing platform. There's specific business objectives. So some of what we try to bring to the table is really that sort of analysis and insight, and then understanding of how that platform applies to it. That sometimes drives conversations just around what might be missing in their offerings, what might be sort of a better thing that they could bring to the table that would help us. And they're super open. The partner advisory board is a great place for that. But even in just general conversations and regular reviews we have with them, they want to hear. They'll have different opinions than us, of course, and as they should. We have our lens, they have theirs, but we try to bring it together, right, and look at the client lens together to make sure that's happening. And one example where we've helped with that, and then I'll get to more specifics. We have obviously our Acquia partnership. We're big with Google Marketing Platform as well. And one of the things that we've done in the past is really think about how do we bring those together to sort of expand the ecosystem, and maybe even make a more powerful system than either of them were alone. And what I really liked about the folks at Acquia, they didn't say, they weren't like territorial, like, oh, we don't want Google or we don't want you doing this. They said, well, let's talk about it. What do we want to do? And, eventually developed a point of view around AI driven personalization, which they were super supportive, gave us kind of in depth into some of their ongoing product development so we could make sure we're aligned, and have even given us sort of the space and forum to talk about those kind of things. That's like, to me, that's super. When we get into sort of specific clients work, I think a recent example comes to mind where, we're trying to launch kind of an initial marketing site for a major international client, and the client asked for some last minute load testing and performance testing. And then they threw out some very sizable numbers, which were not what we'd originally thought were going to be the numbers. And so the system wasn't quite ready, but they wanted to launch along with their media and stuff in a day or so from where that testing was done. And so obviously there was a few things we were looking at, but I think we actually even reached out to Acquia after hours, and they brought the people in like that just to help us to analyze the configuration from their size, to look at the numbers, and figure out how to give more headroom into the configuration and turn that deployment around faster than one might ever expect, because they knew it was in mutual interest. Right. And to me, I think that's like a great story, because they're kind of there. They're not just there trying to like sell, right? They are actively engaged in thinking about client success and mutual, the triangle of the three of us together. So they're there at the start, helping make sure that our approach and our architecture and stuff is appropriate. With all the grandmasters and stuff we don't always leverage as much of that, but they're there and they provide great insight, from the start, especially as they might have done some initial work and thinking, but all the way through, right? Even to that moment where where it's really important, right? Where we're really about to go live, to know that we can call them and get that kind of response. And, they already knew we were doing what we could. It wasn't like, well, what have you done wrong? Or what have you, right? It was really, what can we do together, right? To really make sure our client is successful. And I just thought that was great how they stepped up for us.